Hey everyone, Avros here, back again with the Final Fantasy XII Game Challenge, Final Fantasy V Episode 3. So we're going to start off here with a bit of a look at our party, like I said in the last episode, and then we'll press on and work our way through to the next boss in this game. So, just having a look at the party here, we've gone with a setup of 4 blue mages. This is because we're going to go around and pick up a few blue mage spells that are very handy to have this early in the game, so... The first spell we're looking to pick up here is a spell called Goblin Punch. So you can see that we're in combat here with the White Serpent and Black Goblin. Not sure why I didn't kill the Serpent off first here in this combat. I do get around to it eventually, but it took me a little bit to realize, hang on, maybe I should get rid of it so I'm not taking as much damage here, prevent people from dying. We've got 4 blue mages set up because we want everyone on the party to have learning. There's no guarantee that the goblin will use Goblin Punch on one of the blue mages if we only had one in the party, so we're looking here for it to use it on anybody. And there's the Goblin Punch. Once that's been done, we're free to kill the goblin. As you can see at the end of combat here, victory, gil, exp, ABP, learned Goblin Punch, so it's our first skill. And the second one we're looking for, also in the Wind Shrine here, is from the Mold Wind, which is a spell called Arrow, which does wind damage, which most Black Mage's spells don't do anything related to that element, so handy spell to have early on. So, and there's Arrow, much more obliging, didn't take anywhere near as long, but does a lot of damage, so kills Faris off there, so just gonna get Faris back up, and... there we go, he's back up. And just to show off Goblin Punch, Lena's going to Goblin Punch the Mold Wind. Respectable damage for this early in the game, so there goes the Mold Wind dead. And a rod there handy later in the game when we want to use a Black Mage, it's a Black Mage weapon. And here we are back at the Pirate Cave, and Avros is a bit concerned because he sees that Boko's footprints go inside the cave after expressly asking to wait outside, so... also here to learn a Blue Mage spell from the Steel Bats, a spell called Vampire. And the bat's going to oblige us here in a moment. And there's Vampire. And that's the last of our blue mage spells we're learning for this section of the game. I'll probably cover off just the blue spells we get without necessarily recording them as they happen, but it's better the footage here just to show a bit of the leveling and what's going on. So keeping everyone as blue mages, get some ABP, learn a few more skills and get a job level up here, so just work my way through the cave. Quite a few random encounters in here. And getting some preemptive strikes, which speeds everything up because everyone starts with their full ATB gauge. And everyone gets a job level there and learns check. And think about changing jobs around a bit, but show off that Avros is job level 1 there. And here we are back in the pirate encampment, and gonna complete a few things while we're here, like raiding the treasure room, pick up some money and ether, and we found a strange bird lying around in the cave, so as you can probably guess, that's the Chocobo Boko, and so there he is lying in bed, which is a bit weird. But he's been injured, which is probably why he's in bed, and this helpful wizard, I guess, it's never really said, but he definitely looks like a wizard. Avros calls him Doc, but I mean, they've got magic, why would they use regular medicine, and why would we have regular doctors, so... Anyway, jumping ahead here, going back to the town of Tule, where we got some gear before the Wind Shrine. Faris decides to lead the party again, and the rest of the party goes to visit Zock's house, which we couldn't go into earlier. And Zock's back home, and he knows the princess, and obviously the princess knows him as well. And it's been a long time, and they need to go through the Tonic Canal to get to Waltz, and so... you know, he's worried about the monsters in there multiplying after the Wind Crystal was destroyed, and he's lost the key to the canal, which is going to make things a bit tricky for us to go through the Tonic Canal there and get to the next town and save the next crystal. But he offers for the party to stay the night at his house, which is handy, costs us less than going to the inn, and we get a interesting cutscene here. So, Bartz can't sleep. He's going to wake up there in a second, and there we go. And, get out of bed and flex a bit there before he decides to wander outside. This is all outside of player controls, so there's not really too much you can do to speed it up there by dashing or anything like that. But he decides to go outside and sit next to the river and have a bit of a think and see. He's reminded of his dad when he thinks of the crystals, and so here we get a bit of backstory here for Avros, Bartz, whatever you want to call him. So there's Avros's parents. Stella is his mother, and his father, who remains unnamed so far, basically says that not to tell Avros anything about the crystals if he was to meet an untimely demise. And this reminds Avros, he's like, well, guess I better do something about these crystals then, if my dad thought they were so important, and heads back inside and decides to mull it over at the table. And goes over to the bedroom, and Zoc seems to be looking in on Lena while she sleeps, which is a bit weird. I'm not sure why exactly, other than to make sure she's okay. And notices something's wrong with Avros, and yeah, just lets him know he's reminded of his parents, but they've been gone a while. And Zoc gives Avros something. Turns out to be the key to the canal. Got something interesting to say about that a bit later on when we get to it, but he's worried about what's going to happen with Lena, which is why he didn't want to give her the key, but for some reason now, after seeing her asleep and talking about needing to find her father, and Avros mulling things over at his table in the middle of the night, changed his mind, so he's given the key to Avros here, and party's all up. They give each other a nod, and away they go. They decide to head on out, and Zoc's happy to wish them well on their adventure, and here we head out of the city. And Faris comes to rejoin the party. And the pirates have been staying there this whole time. They didn't come with us to Windshrine. And Faris says she's going to leave them behind this time. They said they'd follow her to the ends of the earth. And thanks her for it. So smells of a long journey and needs them to guard the hideout. Can't let anyone waltz in and steal their booty. I mean, a bit late. We kind of already did that, but Faris was there when that happened, so I guess it was okay? Hard to say. So, one last pirate comes running out, and wishes them all well on the journey ahead. So, boarding the ship again. We see a bit of a cutscene here with Lena and Avros. And Lena's really worried because the wind crystal's gone, and the wind's slowed down, but will soon stop entirely, and yeah, air will grow stagnant, birds won't have any place to fly. I mean, the sky still exists, they don't need the wind, so it's a bit of a weird one. And that her father said they need to protect the 3 remaining crystals, fire, water, and earth, which we already know they sent their power to the party back in episode 1. But if the crystals break, the earth will decay, seas will be dirtied, rivers cease to flow, fires will lose their heat, and the world will become a dark and cold, uninviting place to survive. And Galuf reiterates protecting the crystals, and they're wondering if they triggered any of his memories, but nothing yet, but he still wants to help out regardless. And Faris is definitely coming along, because she wants to find King Tycoon as well, for some reason. He seems pretty sure that King Tycoon's still alive, that zooming off into the sky wasn't like his ghost going up to heaven or anything like that, and Avros finally commits to the journey now. He's got the crystal shards, given power to protect the world, he's given the power of the wind crystal himself directly, and he's in. They've got crystals to save, so Galuf runs out onto the prow of the ship. It's a bit dangerous, don't you think? And away we sail over to the Tonic Canal, which we went past earlier in the game, and you can see there's a bit of a wall there at the entrance to the canal, and there's a massive door there. Look at how size of it dwarfing the ship, and here's where I want to come back to this key. This is a bit weird, right? So they get up to the door, and everyone's lamenting the fact that they can't get through, and Avros just walks out on the prow, and somehow a key he can carry unlocks that massive door. And they're all shocked that he has the key, not that such a tiny little key could open such a massive door, but hey, the door's open now, so away we go. Jumping ahead here's our party setup as we're going ahead. So we've got Avros here, the thief. He's all set up, ready to steal any important items later, so trying to get him to learn those. Wielding a dagger and some leather armor. So he's leveling up as thief. We got Lena still as a blue mage. Wanted to use some of the blue magic on the next boss here, so she's still equipped with all of her lovely gear there. Broadsword, shield, leather armor, and a pair of leather shoes to keep her nice and protected. And Galuf has changed over to white mage. Learnt some black magic off screen, so he's got access to level 1 black magic and level 1 white magic here, so he's a bit of an all-rounder on the spellcasting department. And Faris here also learnt level 1 white magic off screen, running as the monk, to get some good counterattacks and some heavy damage back in as we travel through here. So just a quick little bit here, traveling through the canal. You can see a bit of how combat's progressing here, and I mentioned it before about the ATB gauge, so it might be a good time to cover this for anyone who's not sure how that works. So you can see there's 4 gauges there next to the party members. That fills up over time in combat, based on the character's agility or speed, and as that fills up, they get the ability to take an action in combat. And so if you get something like a preemptive strike, your party starts with all 4 bars filled up, and that will allow them to more rapidly attack. And so you can see Avros is getting a lot of turns early on there, due to the fact he's that thief class. It's a high agility class there. So here we run into a bit of a problem in the Tonic Canal. There's a whirlpool up ahead. So apparently there's a sealed monster in here. Not that anyone really mentioned it before, but yeah, we're getting sucked into a whirlpool, probably caused by the sealed monster, so that's definitely not a good thing. So, circling around the whirlpool, in the middle, boats spinning every which way, and if you remember, there's a sea dragon attached to the front of this boat, so that must be really unpleasant for Sildra getting spinned around like that. But something's very wrong, and Avros again calls out incoming, and here's our next boss. So coming in with the bestiary again to start with, so the Carl boss here, weird looking lobster crab monster. Weak against lightning, so using anything like a bolt spell or lightning here early on will be very handy. Immune to pretty much every status ailment. Has no real type because it's a boss monster. Some later bosses will, but this one doesn't. There's not too much to worry about, only 650 HP, but it does have a very annoying attack called Tail Screw, which drops somebody to 1 health, or obviously they're also using Feeler, which paralyzes your party member that gets hit by it. So using Lena there to get some magic in with Arrow, Faris punching away, and we're going to hit it with the Thunder due to its lightning weakness. 150 damage, which, like I said, it's only got like 500 HP. It's not that much to get through, but Faris hitting there with the Tail Screw, dropping it down to 9 HP, which is why we want these white mages in the party. Keep everyone topped up and healthy, so 60 HP back, and that leaves Galuf free to continue pouring on damage with Thunder. 160 on that second hit, and another Tail Screw, this time hitting Galuf, and Aros is just going to keep laying in damage, and Lena as well, hitting Arrow. Not too much health left. As a matter of fact, that was the last hit, so that's it. We get a tent, as it said in the bestiary that it would drop, and we're able to get away from the whirlpool, but there's something still in the middle there, and unfortunately Sildra's still trapped in the whirlpool. Managed to get the boat out to safety, and cutting to the ship. Faris is understandably distraught. Avros tries to say that Sildra's a fighter and so should be fine to get out, but they have to hold Faris back from doing something completely reckless, and Sildra's still trapped. That's not a good sounding noise, and that red flash on screen, yeah, definitely does not bode well for Sildra. So that's it. We've cleared a couple of bosses in this game, but just before we wrap up, cutting back to the boat here. No Sildra, no wind. Galuf says that Faris needs to be left alone for a while. As I said, there's no wind here, so the ship is just drifting. Galuf wonders where we'll end up, and we'll have to stay tuned for the next episode to find out just where they end up. So thank you again for watching, and catch you in the next episode we find out where exactly the party's going to end up after this lack of direction for their boat.